Hello, it is Weston, and I am here in Flagstaff, Arizona. As you guys know, I was previously in my last video in Key West, Florida, and I planned on going up to Orlando to see my family, and then I was going to be headed off west. And right now, I'm actually out west. I am in Arizona. This video is just going to be me reflecting on my journey out to Arizona. So, it started, I was in Key West. From there, I was going to go back up to Melbourne. I saw my dad, and I ended up going up to Orlando to see my mom and my brothers. Yeah, so I ended up hanging out with my brother for probably a couple weeks, and he ended up stocking me up with groceries. So from Orlando, I decided just to start making my way out of Florida. I went up to St. Augustine, which is only probably a couple hours away, and I stayed there for a few days. In St. Augustine, I kind of just like wandered around. I went to the fort, the old town area, and it was actually really easy to Vandwell over there because they had a Walmart, and right next door they had a Planet Fitness, and then across the street they had Barnes & Noble. So I stayed at Augustine. It was awesome. When I was there, I was like cruising around, and I saw a skate park. I saw a skate park with like a handful of, guys, kids, whatever. I was skating around, and I was like, man, it'd be so freaking fun to get out on my scooter, because I have a scooter, like an adult-sized Razor scooter in the back of my van. And I was like, man, it'd be so fun to go out there. And as I was passing, I was like, my mind kicks in and starts making excuses on why not to do it. Weston, you don't want to draw a bunch of attention to yourself. You don't want to ruin their fun. You do it on a different day that you're actually feeling more pumped up about it. A little bit of fear seeps in, and you get self-conscious about doing something. So then your mind will just try to logically explain why you shouldn't do it. But I try to be mindful and aware of stuff like that. So I was like, hell no. So I ended up turning around, grabbing my scooter, and jumping out there and having a blast. You know what I mean? Because it's really crazy sometimes how your own mind can torment you or convince you not to do something you know is freaking exciting. And it's usually almost always based off of like fear of being vulnerable, fear of letting loose. Fear of being stupid, But how crazy your own mind is preventing you from having a freaking blast. You're your own worst enemy. Huh? So I stayed there for a few days, I think I got like a project done, and I decided to leave. I went up to Valdosta, Georgia. In Valdosta, Georgia, I have my friend Nick, who I've known my whole life. So I went up and I had to go see him, and it was awesome. It was, deep South Georgia. We did typical South Georgia things like shooting guns and fishing. I went to a birthday party around a fire pit. And I want to thank you, Nick and Dave and Teresa, for treating me so great, giving me food. Love you guys, thank you. Then I was getting ready to leave Valdosta. I didn't really have any plans where I was going to go. There was part of me who was planning on going to Savannah, Georgia. I also had a ton of other places I wanted to go. I wanted to go to Arizona, I wanted to go to California, I wanted to go to Oregon, Denver, Colorado. After doing some research, I was kind of just like looking up cities that were good to Vandwell at, that were good for, a young guy like me. I saw so many great things about Flagstaff and the people there, about how outdoorsy the community is, how it's very youthful because there's a college here. Yeah, so I heard so much good stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go straight to Flagstaff. I started my journey off to Flagstaff. My first stop was Mobile, Alabama. In Mobile, Alabama, I just went to Starbucks, worked on a little bit of project, and then I stayed at Walmart, and the next day I just dipped out. I really wanted to get to Flagstaff after all the stuff I heard, so I was like really eager just to get to Flagstaff. That day, I ended up driving all the way to Dallas, Texas. I got to Dallas, Texas pretty late at night, and I stopped in some part of the city that I wasn't too thrilled about. It looked fairly sketchy to me, so I decided I wasn't going to urban camp over there, and I did some research and found a state park nearby. I ended up going to the state park. The state park cost like $10 to get in, and it was really cool. This was my first experience, I guess, camping in the van, like outdoors in the wilderness, because usually I'm doing the urban camping. I get there, and for my first time, it was a little eerie because it was windy. It was fairly cold for me because it was like 40 degrees, super windy, and I remember I was out there in the woods peeing. So I was peeing, and it was really dark, and I felt like something was like looking at me or something. So I got kind of scared, and I you know, ran to my van. I was the only guy in the primitive section or whatever of the state park. And yeah, so I ran, jumped back to my van, and I turned on Frozen, the movie, you know, pep me right back up. Nice Disney movie, always flips you around. But that night ended up actually being a great night. I slept beautifully, the temperature was just right, and I actually preferred being out sort of in the wilderness. And I was allowed to be there, you know, like I could camp. I didn't have to worry about lights or if I was being kind of like that noisy, you know what I mean? So it ended up being one of the best nights that I've had. Next morning I get up and I realize like in Amarillo it's getting down in like the low 20s. So I wasn't prepared for cold weather. I ended up going to a thrift store in Dallas, Texas and getting this badass jacket. Thought it was so cool. It was only like $16. I went in there and it was like the only jacket that fit me. There was like a couple really tiny ones and then all the other ones were super huge, but it fit me perfectly. And I was like, hot damn, this jacket is beautiful. So I was pretty pumped about that, and I ended up going to Walmart, getting some thermal clothing and a jacket. So I was prepared. So yeah, in Amarillo, I just stayed in a Walmart parking lot. It was easy, just stopped off at the exit and there was a Walmart. So at this Walmart, I was prepared for this 20-degree weather. I have a 0-degree Coleman sleeping bag, and this 20-degree weather was going to be the coldest like I think I've ever experienced. So I didn't know how it was going to work. I put on all my layers, and I you know, zipped up in this little mummy sleeping bag, ready, prepared, like for freezing cold weather. I wasn't sure how I was going to react, but I ended up falling asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was hot as balls. I had my like arms in my pockets, and I was like in that mummy sleeping bag, like all velcroed up, and I was like, shit, you know, shaking around, and I was like, okay, Weston, calm down. And then I unzipped and I checked the temperature, and it was 32 degrees out, which I was like, man, this 0-degree sleeping bag works awesome. So that 0-degree sleeping bag is perfect. I woke up from Amarillo and I headed to Flagstaff. You know, I had to cross New Mexico. Beautiful scenery. I met like some drifters and stuff when I was there, some travelers. It was pretty cool. I met this guy at a souvenir shop, and he told me that he's been traveling for the past 4 years doing like work camping, and he works for a certain period of time with his wife, and they live in like an RV, and then they go travel for however long, and then go do work camping again. And he told me how awesome his life is, how financially set. He's never been as financially set or happy in his whole life. And I was like, man, holy crap, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just live minimally, travel around, have fun. I also met this drifting couple that were living out of their car. They seemed like really nice. I saw I had Florida plates, and like, dude, what are you doing out here in Arizona? You know, traveling around. And they told me a little bit about their story, how they've been traveling for a while. And I thought it was so cool. I was like, man, you guys are so badass. They were like, well, that's what you're doing. You're all the way from Florida. And I kind of had that realization, like, oh, you know, like all these people I admire, all these people that are doing adventurous things and traveling, I'm like starting to become that. I'm a rookie right now, but I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Well, I finally made it. After I saw them, I left, and I finally was making it to Flagstaff. I could see the little snowy mountain in distance, which I knew was where Flagstaff was, and I made it. As of now, I've been here for like a week, and I seriously love Flagstaff. I plan on being here for like a month. I might even be here for longer, just because it's so freaking cool. This is like a van dweller's dream right here. There's free camping everywhere, up here in the mountains. The people are freaking amazing. Everyone's so generous. They all seem to be outdoorsy. Everyone seems to be like wearing hiking boots, and they're into rock climbing and whatnot. Yeah, even just a couple days ago, I went hiking with a local. She's a photographer, and she recommended that I go hiking at Snowball. So she took me up there, and we went hiking. I had a great conversation. She gave me all these insights on Flagstaff and information on where to go, what to do. And what's cool too is like everyone you meet really loves Flagstaff also, which is always a cool thing. I love when like the locals love where they're at. You know, it makes you also love it. You're like, yeah, you know what? It is great. But it honestly is great though. So yeah, she showed me some hiking trails and gave me a bunch of awesome information. Thank you. I was like creeping on these two girls at this coffee shop, and I heard them talking about Vandwelling, and I was like, no way, these gorgeous girls, they're freaking Vandwellers. And I ended up talking to one, and she was a Vandweller. It's just so cool, like seeing that there's all these adventurous people out here. Honestly, I can't believe I'm even freaking doing this. I find this wild. Like, it's a total life change for me. My reality, my day-to-day is just completely transformed. I am no longer around my family. I'm no longer around, friends. I'm no longer in school. I'm no longer doing anything the same. I'm doing what I've been dreaming about doing for the past couple years, which is very crazy to me, that you stay focused on an idea and don't let it slip your mind, and then eventually with action and persistence and good use of your resources, you can make it happen. But yeah, I have had a handful of people ask me, like, what are you doing? what are your plans? You're just driving around like willy-nilly, you know what I mean? And honestly, I kind of am just doing that. Kind of just driving around, experimenting. I did just graduate in December, and I've been dreaming about this lifestyle, this sort of life, for a while. I think everyone should live a life that they're excited about. And this Vandwelling is something that brings me crazy amounts of excitement. Like, holy crap. You know what I mean? I am driving around alone, different places in this van. It's just kind of crazy to me. Please comment of maybe any places that you have experienced, maybe camping, Vandwelling, that might be similar to Flagstaff, because I would like to find other places similar to Flagstaff just to compare them. Because right now I'm tempted to stay in Flagstaff forever because it's perfect. So I would like to try other areas that are maybe you guys think are great for Vandwelling, so I can really be sure about Flagstaff. So thank you guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and see you later. Yeah.